Hi guys, Amanda here, and I am working today just in my Bible. You can see that it is starting to get really big and thick and chunky. I will probably move into a new Bible in the new year, but I'm just going to work on journaling some sermon notes from last night's message at church. For those of you who have followed my journey so far on YouTube, you know that I like to take my sermon notes on my iPad and then either transfer them into my Bible or into a traveler's notebook. If you'd like to see some of these processes, you can go into the playlist and check these out. These were super fun to do. But today I'm going to just transfer it into my Bible. And we are talking about the very first miracle that is documented in the Gospel of John. And I'm in John chapter 2. And so I'm just going to pull some basic supplies, and then I'm going to do the majority of my journaling. So it's going to be a lot of my handwriting, but I just kind of wanted to share this message with you guys, and it's the whole series that we're doing at church. It's called I Need a Miracle, and so I was thinking I could do a series on here documenting those sermon notes either in my Bible or in my traveler's notebook. So if that's something that you guys think you want to check out, definitely leave me a comment down below, and I will make that happen as best as I can. And also I am going to be slowly getting into the book of Luke with the illustrating book of Luke. So like I said in my last video, make sure that you're staying tuned because I do have an unboxing for that coming up very, very soon. So I'm going to put you guys on fast forward and get you started. So my process today for this entry is pretty straightforward. The background that I'm using is just something from my stash printed on clear sticker paper. I believe it's like one of the 100-day collages, and then I'm just going to put some alpha stickers on top of there, layer a glassine bag from an Illustrated Faith kit, and then just a die cut of a flower, and kind of staple that together with my tiny attacher and put the date, and then add my journaling. So it's pretty straightforward. So I'm gonna take the bulk of my talking time today to kind of discuss what this sermon was all about and what prompted me to want to start a series here on my YouTube channel. So we are talking about the 7 miracles that God performs in the book of John that are documented. So there are 34 miracles total in the gospel, and the book of John records 7, and he calls them signs. And this first one that we're talking about is when Jesus turns water into wine to keep the party and the celebration going. So that's in John chapter 2, and that's where I'm working today. And my favorite part of this is that Mary tells them to do whatever Jesus does. So usually, it's like mama knows best and all of that good stuff, but really she's like, Jesus knows best. Do whatever he says. And so even though the servants feel like it is super weird for them to go and get water and give them to the wine taster, they do exactly what he says. And so that brings us to trusting in God's goodness, even if you don't get your miracle. So they didn't know what was going to happen. They had no idea, and they followed what he said no matter what. It didn't matter how crazy it was. And another favorite thing that my pastor talked about was sometimes we want the miracle to happen right away. We pray for that moment, and we just pray, and we want it to happen instantly. And for me, I feel like there can definitely be some peace in knowing that, but also that God works in his time, and that he sometimes works in slow motion. And these servants, as they're carrying this water to the wine taster, that is when the miracle happens. It isn't in that exact moment, but it's a slow motion miracle. it takes time and it happens over time. So miracles can happen in a moment, but they can also happen over time. And our pastor referred to them as a slow motion miracle, which I thought that was a pretty good representation of that. And he also talked about sometimes the miracle that you're praying for is not always the miracle that you need. And God is the greatest miracle, and knowing him and knowing the person behind the miracle is sometimes just as powerful as the miracle itself. Another big point that our pastor talked about was expecting his best and that God is better. And that's when he's referring to John chapter 2, verses 10 and 11, because the wine is good. Usually they will have the wine that is a little bit more expensive at the beginning of the party, and they'll get everyone feeling pretty good. And then they will bring out the cheap wine. And God saves the best for last. This wine that was once water is the best wine. And the one thing that our pastor talks about is that he gives us more than we need. And grace is the same way. He gives us more grace than we could ever need, and that it's meant to be shared. It's meant to be shared with everyone. And so this was more the miracle of grace that was talked about in John chapter 2. And God is still about conversion. He converts our hearts all the time. He takes our healing and he turns that away. And I just thought that was really fun, and that I needed to get that in the margins of my Bible. So I'm going to be kind of trying to do a series on here of all of the miracles that are recorded in John. Each week our pastor is going to be doing that. I did leave the sermon down below if that's something that you want to check out. My pastor explains it a whole lot better than I do. But if that is something that you're interested in, leave me a comment down below. You can follow me on Instagram at Ro Writes, and make sure to stay tuned. The very next video that I post will be the unboxing of the book of Luke, the Illustrating Bible. So be on the lookout for that. I can't wait to show you guys that. And I will see you guys very, very soon. Bye.